All right, Alexander, let's talk about the ICC arrest warrant for Netanyahu, for Gallant, and also for a senior Hamas leader
Yeah.
who was involved in October 7th, I believe. I always forget his name.
Yeah.
But there was an arrest warrant for all of these three individuals, maybe even more individuals, I'm not sure. But the focus, the attention is on the ICC arrest warrant of Netanyahu. And this is pissing off, angering the United States, both sides, Republican and Democrat. They have come out with statements saying that they're going to go after the ICC. Khan already has allegations of sexual misconduct, so he's already in trouble, or has been targeted, depending on what you think. And the ICC, they've put themselves in a box because they went after Putin with ridiculous charges, an arrest warrant against Putin. When that arrest warrant was issued, the Republicans and the Democrats, the collective West, was cheering on the ICC. They had to, I believe they had to. They didn't have much choice. Issue an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. And now you have the collective West, the United States, screaming that the ICC is going to be destroyed if they press on with this. So, I mean, they did this to themselves.
Yes.
And they did this because they decided to do the bidding of the United States last year and issue that arrest warrant against Putin. If they did not issue that arrest warrant against Putin, they probably would not have had a problem with this arrest warrant against Netanyahu. But now their hypocrisy has been revealed by everybody, and I'm just sitting back, eating the popcorn and watching on as the ICC implodes.
Absolutely, because this is the beginning of the end of the ICC. I mean, make no mistake about this. The fact that they've taken this step, enraging the United States, enraging all the powerful European governments, the British government, the German government, the French government, other governments. It is now on borrowed time. All of these governments are furious with the ICC. All of them are complaining about what it's done. The Americans are going to work to destroy it. I think the Trump administration never liked it, and I definitely think they will want to destroy it. The Americans were never keen on the ICC from the get-go, because they were always worried that eventually it would go rogue and it would start issuing indictments against Americans. And they made it very clear that that was never happen. But they never really liked the ICC. They were prepared to have it do their bidding and go after world leaders and people that they didn't like. At the moment, the ICC turned on one of their own. The Americans were furious about this. And European governments, the German government, which is basically saying that it will not enforce this ICC warrant if Netanyahu ever goes to Germany. The British government, similarly, they're in an even more difficult position, by the way. All of these governments are absolutely furious now. And I think that they're all going to get together and they're going to basically bring the ICC to an end. Now, what has happened, the reason this has happened is, first of all, the case against Putin makes, to my mind, no sense. I mean, I have been involved in child abduction cases, I should say, and I cannot possibly see why you would want to involve an institution like the International Criminal Court in child abduction allegations, all the more so given that the civil remedies that exist in child abduction cases have so far been working apparently well in this particular instance. What I have heard, I mean, there may be other information that I'm not aware of, but what I've heard up to now is that when parents want to be reunited with their children who have been taken to Russia, this is all related to child issues. Up to now, the parents have always been able to do so. So I just don't really understand that case. But put that aside, the major problem, the thing that ultimately burnt the ICC is that Russia is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, nor, by the way, I believe, is Ukraine. Nonetheless,
Nor is the U.S.
Nor is the US. But, these are all events that appear to supposedly have taken place on Ukrainian territory. Nonetheless, the ICC said that despite the fact that Russia is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, it still has jurisdiction to issue an arrest warrant against Putin. Now, I again find that very difficult to understand myself, but that was what they said. Now, Israel also is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, but having refused to accept that it had no jurisdiction in the Putin case, they were not in a position, or so it seems to me, to argue the same, that they had no jurisdiction in Netanyahu's case. They could have perfectly well said, if they never issued that arrest warrant against Putin, they could have perfectly easily said, look, whatever it is that the Israelis are doing in Gaza, we have no jurisdiction to deal with it because Israel is not party to the Rome Statute. That would have been their absolute protection. But because they disregarded this jurisdictional issue with Putin, they were trapped and they couldn't find a way not to say that we have no jurisdiction over Netanyahu. So they got caught and they had to issue the arrest warrant. And here we are. They've had to do something which they didn't want to do. They dragged their feet over it. As you said, Karim Khan is himself now under all kinds of investigations. And nonetheless, I think that they were finding that the weight of opinion in the global south was running so strongly against them that they really felt they had no choice. But the result is that the funding is going to be pulled away. The European governments that have funded the ICC are no longer going to do so. And the United States is going to conduct a campaign against the ICC. And as we have repeatedly seen in Europe, what the United States wants, it always gets.
Yeah, if they didn't issue the arrest warrant against Netanyahu, they would have been done.
Yeah.
They issued the arrest warrant against Netanyahu, they're done.
Exactly.
So they completely boxed themselves in, and it's all because of the Putin arrest warrant, which was completely political.
Yes.
They did the bidding. They took the orders from the U.S. to issue that arrest warrant. Yeah. Everyone was breaking open the champagne. Everyone was celebrating. We got him. We stuck it to Putin. Remember? We stuck it to Putin, and they were so happy. They were patting themselves on the back. I've gone through some of the older tweets from people like Lindsey Graham and all these people. They were praising the ICC. This is the greatest court in the world, they were saying, and now they're cursing the ICC. So, I mean, this is just incredible. It's delicious to watch, Alexander. It really is. And it just goes to show that all of these people in the collective West, and I include the ICC, I include the United States, all of them are a bunch of freaking buffoons, and they're obsessed. They're completely obsessed with Russia and sticking it to Putin. I mean, it has overtaken them. Any smart, rational person, a lawyer who's involved in these kinds of cases could have told them, don't do this.
Yeah.
You don't have jurisdiction in Ukraine. You don't have jurisdiction in Russia. Somewhere down the line, I don't know when, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, he's going to come back around and bite us in the ass.
Yeah.
But nope.
It's not the first time, by the way. I mean, they did exactly the same when they went to the International Court of Justice and lobbied incredibly hard the International Court of Justice to deliver an advisory opinion on Kosovo, which Putin is now busy citing as saying that it justifies declarations of independence from Ukraine by Crimea and by the republics of the Donbass. And nobody has been able to put together a case, an argument that really refutes what Putin is saying about that, because, of course, the advisory opinion is on all fours with what Putin is, the points that Putin is making. If you create precedents that can be used against you in law, then as night follows day, those precedents will be used.
Obvious
against
precedents.
you.
Obvious that
Obvious
someone like me,
precedents.
who's not a lawyer, can see.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly. But this is what this is the arrogance of power. You think that you're so powerful that you can always bend things to your will. When you discover that you can't, well, there's nothing else for you but to smash the furniture. And in this case, that piece of furniture is going to be the ICC, which is now going to be smashed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the smart ones, and everyone else is stupid. A real quick question, final question: how does this go? How does the U.S. smash the furniture? The ICC? Do they just tell the Europeans, or do the Europeans? Who, by the way, the Europeans did come out with a statement. The EU, I believe, Borrell said that the EU will enforce this decision.
Yeah,
yeah, right. I mean, do they just tell Borrell and The Hague, close this office down, or else? I mean, is it that simple?
They will starve it of funding. I mean, so that increasingly it becomes more and more difficult for it to recruit judges and prosecutors and things of that kind, because it won't be able to pay the enormous salaries that these courts do pay the various judges and prosecutors and people like that who work for them. So it may not be switched off tomorrow, though it's so impossible that it might be. I mean, if the Americans start sanctioning it, which they might do, by the way, then that will make its life and its existence impossible, and it might be forced, in that case, to simply shut down. But put all that aside, if they simply cut off its funding or gradually squeeze away its funding, then it will die.
And the key is what you said. Trump is going to be no different with this.
No.
He's going to also starve off their funding if that's the decision. Yeah,
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. All right, we will end the video there. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what we are wearing in this video. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.